And this is, have the soldiers and the different...
Yvette Radcliffe has been doing a lot of this lately, researching her husband's family's roots, particularly his great-grandfather, Edward Radcliffe, a former James City County slave who became a Civil War Union hero, one of only 16 black men who fought for the Union to earn the Medal of Honor. Radcliffe has been researching genealogy online, going to local, state, and national libraries and courthouses to find records of his life.
We did have some luck because before my daughter and I had gone to the National Archives, and we found a lot of his pension papers. And on one of his pension papers, it told his wife's maiden name, and it gave the names of all of his children with their birthdays.
Her father-in-law had told her about the Medal of Honor, and when Yvette had a son of her own and named him Edward, she told him too, and he wanted to know more about his ancestor's life.
It's important to know, where you came from and a little bit about your past. It can help with, history of your medical health, and find out, because even in his pension papers we found out that he had dyspepsia and rheumatism, and he had scurvy of the mouth, and he had diseases of the eyes.
At the Colonial Williamsburg Foundation Library, Yvette was led to the special collections room where she found the old Hankins family memorandum. In it, she found this entry: Edward, son of Hannah, born February 3rd, 1835. Yvette Radcliffe describes her reward in the pursuit of family history.
A sense of completeness. I think it's good for families to know their history. Whether you have, someone in your family that you found as a hero or not, it's still good to know, where your family is.
In 1657, an Englishman named John Hankins received a 200-acre land grant in the New World in the colony of Virginia. His land was near the southern tip of the Chesapeake Bay along the York River. Hankins moved there, started a family, and learned to farm.
So all I've heard is about the brothers coming over from England, and the land was a land grant, and they built the two houses, one at Sarah's Creek, called Little England, and then Riverview Plantation. My grandfather left me the land with my brother and sister.
The land is located on what is now Croker Road. Most of it has been sold and developed as a golf course. However, much of the old Hankins farmhouse remains, including its original brick fireplaces. The home stands in the same spot and is still owned and occupied by a Hankins.
Those bricks were handmade by slaves on the farm there.
John Hankins' son Charles became the first Hankins to pay taxes on slaves. In 1704, he owned 10 slaves and 370 acres of land. By 1837, John's great-grandson Alexander inherited the farm and all its properties, including a 2-year-old slave named Edward Radcliffe. Historical documents show that on July 9, 1858, Scott Hankins, one of Alexander's sons, married Edward Radcliffe to his bride, Grace.
And of course that happened all the time on plantations. I mean, masters often married their servants because there were not a lot of black churches at that time.
In 1864, Edward Radcliffe walked away from Hankins Fields all the way to Yorktown, where he traded his plow for a rifle.
We've been in these trenches here in front of Petersburg for About 5-6 months. We got in there late May and early June, and we were down in these trenches, thousands of troops. You couldn't move. You put your head up. The Confederate sharpshooters just take it off like a pumpkin. So when General Butler came up with this idea to build the Dutch Gap, and he called on the 38th to go down and do that, we knew it was going to be a do or die. But this was a chance for us colored troops to prove that we really were fighting men. And by 3 o'clock in the morning of September of 1864, we came across that pontoon bridge. It's the longest pontoon bridge in existence up to that time. It was over 2,100 feet long and has 101 pontoons holding it up. We brought all of our men and our equipment across and got in position by about 3 o'clock. By 5:30 that morning, we were ready to fight. When we got over here and we were ready to attack, we were in position, but the fog down in this area here, this lowland, was so thick that we could not see our adjacent lines. In fact, even when we started the attack, it was pretty ragged, because some of the troops got the word and others didn't, because they couldn't see the flags and the hand signals and that sort of thing. But what made it so difficult was that as the sun started to come up, right around 6 o'clock or so, the Grays up there on the hill, they could see us, but we couldn't see them. And then they put out all these abatements here. They had cut down a lot of trees. We had to get through all this swamp. And so we charged out right around 6:30 and got just about here to the base of the heights. My company commander and all of my platoon leaders had been killed. And I take charge of that company. I got my guys up and we just charged straight up that hill. And I was the first man into the Confederate area. That's what they gave me an award for later on. But our concern was we were going to prove that we were fighting men, and we were going to take this Newmarket Heights, and we wanted to do what nobody else had been able to do, and that was make it possible for Richmond to fall and for this war to end.